Hello, I'm Simon King, and this is Naturespace with Haith. And today I'm with Alan and Gaz, aka the Bearded Birders, two of Lincolnshire's most enthusiastic, unshaven naturalists. Hi, gents. How are you both?
Morning.
Morning. Yeah, good to have. Thanks.
Well, it's good to have you both here, and I'm looking forward to, putting a case forward to our listeners. Really, why A, they should shave less, and B, why they should get more involved in nature, which most of them are. But look, seriously, on a serious note, we're really pleased to have you here at Haith, at the Haith Bird Food Centre here in Louth. Let's start off with this. What is the Bearded Birders all about? What's the origin of this story? Where did it, kick us off? Where did it start from? How did it come into existence? What's the inspiration? Lots of questions there. What is it all about?
Wow. Start us off gently. It was started during the COVID pandemic.
Right.
Gaz was suffering from mental health issues like anxiety, stress, problems with my old job. And then, everything sort of came to a head. So then when restrictions were dropped and you could meet someone, my wife told me to go to our local woods, Willsbury Woods, and just get out. And then obviously I asked Al along to join me, just for someone to talk to really, and just sort of get stuff off my chest. And then as it sort of progressed, we talked, and then realised that I'd come home from having these what we call like little nature therapy sessions,
Right.
And then I'd drive home and I'd just be there, and I'd just be like, "Wow, how did I get home?" It would just be like, because I was such on a high of getting stuff off my chest, not only getting stuff off my chest, but seeing nature and seeing local stuff, and so that's where it really all started. And then I think Alan had heard through the grapevine that some of our old school friends, I think, how many was it?
About 6 altogether, that had committed suicide. I think there was 5 lads and 1 lass. And from there, we just got speaking and thinking we need to speak more,
Right.
As well as getting out to a bit of nature. So you're doing 2 things at once, really, getting your mind off things, what's happening in your work and home life, and getting out and seeing things. And it kind of progressed from there.
Yeah, then obviously we tied with a few names, didn't we? And then the beard, obviously we've got beards. So the bearded bearders were sort of thrown around, and it was just like, well, we'll get a badge, we'll do a logo, and it started off as a bit of fun, really, didn't it? And like I say, because it just felt so good going to the woods, getting stuff off your chest. And I suppose, like, because I've had therapy before, I've done some therapy with Navigo, and it was all on the phone, and it was great, it worked. But being out in nature, you're not in like a room, you're not enclosed, you're not facing someone, there's not someone looking down at you, or it's just like side by side, chilled, and like you can just be talking something about, like, say, friend that committed suicide 1 second, and then next you see a deer one passing, like, oh, there's a roe deer,
Right.
and then you focused. It sort of changes your focus a little bit. It sort of lightens the mood. Obviously, you're talking about some pretty dark stuff and stuff you've gone through, but like I say, you're taking joy that you've seen a woodpecker, or you've heard a woodpecker, or it's that element.
Yeah.
You know.
There's obviously been a lot in the press more recently. I mean, I don't know why it's a big surprise, but there's been more in the press recently about the healing powers of nature and how important it is for us to kind of spend time with the natural world. I mean, even dare I say, looking at photos of nature apparently does something for us to make us feel one. When you were talking there, Gaz, I was thinking that you are, for a moment in our lives, either at home or at work, we're doing things. Here is an opportunity to just be for a moment. So you're walking through the woods. You say the woods, I suppose. I'm thinking in my mind here of branches cracking, as you step over them, the sound of, leaves fluttering or whatever, people maybe in the background. But is it like a feeling of being grounded for a moment. Is that what helps? What helps?
I think there is that element of it. I think there's Emma Mitchell wrote a book on it, and that's really good. I can't the title. I can't remember, but and it's all about how smells and like certain like patterns in nature and like chemicals in soil when you get your hands dirty, all have released dopamine. So it's that element as well. Like you go into a wood angry. Yola Williams actually said it. If you go into a wood angry, try coming out angry, and you can't do it. And believe you me, I'd like to say I've gone in the woods with my kids sometimes, and it's one of them family walks that turn into a disaster, and it's just like. But then we've seen tawny owl chicks, and we've all walked out like, wow, we've seen tawny owl chicks, and the mood switches, and that is the power of nature. Nature can just change your mood in an instant, whether it's like a flash of a green woodpecker, a little stoat head, a weasel, a kingfisher flashing by. You can't help we can't help but be amazed by it, and it's on our own doorstep.
Yeah, and it is a flash, isn't it? Particularly, you mentioned green woodpecker. It's no more than a flash. Kingfisher, no more than a flash. And you've then got to get your eyes have got to be focused. The beard. Let's go back to the beard, because I suppose all great organisations have got something there, a secret handshake or whatever it is. You guys have got the beards. So there's just
the rubbing of the beards. That's it.
That is it. No secret handshakes. Just although the beards are impressive, we'll put photos up and people will see that I didn't shave today, but it's going to take me a little while to join this. So I guess at what point then do you we're talking here about tragedy and things that we don't talk about. Suicide, we don't talk about it enough. And mental health, COVID and COVID-19, I think, has encouraged us to talk more about, our challenges, our own personal challenges. And I know you're both very eager to make sure that people understand the healing powers of the natural world and so on. I know that. And I know you're not necessarily eager for us only to talk about suicide, but out of all these challenges, this is a challenge, a personal challenge with COVID-19, terrible stories that's happened to people and your friends, colleagues, and your cohort, and you're thinking, where does this go? You could have walked into those woods, and dare I say it, you could have become a statistic yourself, really.
Do you know what? I've never actually thought of it that way. But obviously, I suppose I never thought about it that way because I met with Al. And then I was able to talk. So we've always said, like, obviously you've got a place like Andy's Man Club that are doing a great job for getting men talking. And because we are rubbish.
Can you tell us a little bit about Andy's Men Club? What is that? I've heard it. This is they meet
every Monday.
Right.
Is that the Dock Spears? I think it's Dock Spears, the meet.
They've got a couple now, haven't they? They've got one in Grimsby College. I think they meet there as well.
Oh, right.
And I think they did have one at Dock Spears. That's like an open house, though, isn't it?
So this was because somebody there was a young man who committed suicide, and his family and friends set up.
Yeah, I think it was. I want to say it's Luke Ambler.
Right. Okay.
That set up Andy's Man Club in regards to his friend that committed suicide because he didn't talk. I mean, so yeah, they do amazing things, and obviously we're different. We do it from the nature side, and they meet. I mean, in the future, like I say, we talked about it. We'd love to work with them or do something as a group and get people out in nature and show them that there's more than sitting in the room. But
or maybe we can reach out through the podcast. We'll send it to them, and who knows. So you guys get together then, and I, across from the table looking at you both, I can see how this can turn into some sort of movement potentially, can't it? Really, the bearded birder movement. I mean, you've both got hoodies on with your own logos, the bearded birders,
changing logos,
t-shirts. I mean, this is becoming a movement now. But the thing is, what I sense from it, having met you both a few times, you're really humble. This is not necessarily about you, getting your products into a high street store in Carnaby Street or something like that. You really care about nature. You care about our place within nature, and you care about kind of spreading what you've it's like almost like a light's been switched on for you both, and that's created this help create and foster this friendship, but also this kind of kinetic friendship with nature. Not just go out and have a walk, but actually, when you do go out and have a walk, there's some really fascinating things out there to see, aren't there?
Oh yeah,
you're always constantly learning as well. Obviously, Gaz knows more than me.
Yeah, but
I've always said that. I'm just here for the ride. I said I'm bringing it out of his
We've
shell.
always said, like, as well, when we started this, obviously there are better birders and naturalists out there who know loads more than we do, and we're no experts. But I quite like that. I quite like the fact that I'm grounded enough to know when I'm wrong. And like I say, if anyone that follows us on Instagram, they'll know if we don't know something, we can't ID it fully. We'll just put at the bottom of a post, like, happy to be. We don't know if it's 100% correct. Happy to be like corrected, because we do get things wrong, and like there's no shame in getting things wrong. And if someone can teach us something and we can teach someone else something, it's shared learning. And what's better than getting people involved in nature, and then that shared learning, and then you make a nature connection.
Is this the mission then? So I mean, if we were a company, we'd have some sort of a mission statement and so on. We'd have to necessarily, agree on it exactly, but you kind of both have this thing that is about sharing this or imparting this knowledge, recruiting and encouraging people to get out there and see it for themselves. What is it about the Bearded Birders? If you had to have a mission statement, what have you both agreed on? What do you say? This is what we stand for.
I don't know, really. It's we just always think, let's go out, have a laugh, and enjoy nature. So
I don't think, because there was never any
really
long
any
term,
aim,
there was no aim to it. It was literally just trying to like deal with my own stuff that was going on while trying to deal with COVID, trying to see mates still and get out, and then obviously go for your walk and like involving yourself in nature.
It's got to be more than that, I guess, because COVID's gone. Hopefully, touch wood here, and there will be other challenges. But what you've both created, and sometimes things are so much stronger than that bond has lasted beyond that. You both, wearing your Bearded Birders sweatshirts. You're both, doing what you've. So there's got to be a little more something to that, really. I think that is it kind of, and maybe it's perhaps finding your way. How do you change from this informal kind of agreement that you've both got, which won't be any agreement on paper, but you've got this thing where you meet, you chat, you talk about learning and knowledge and so on. And I think it's really humble. And having met you both, I think you probably know a lot more than you would ever. I think even if you didn't know everything about the British nature and wildlife, which I think would take you more than several lifetimes. But even if you did, I think you would be both the type of people that would say, well, we're still learning. But I think that's what's really, I think that's what's endearing about you both and about what you're doing here.
We do bring that to people as well, just to say about the local nature. It's on your doorstep. Go out and enjoy it. Get together with somebody. It's all about talking, being out there.
What is here? I mean, sometimes I talk to people and they'll say, they're almost, we I suppose things that are on your doorstep. If you when I travel on the motorways, I always think, well, we're all going this way, and everybody that way is going this way. We're all looking beyond our doorsteps. But what's here in Lincolnshire, this northeast Lincolnshire? What are we missing by, on our own doorsteps potentially?
What species we've had? Obviously, because it started with birds, but now it's like fungi. Everyone loves a nice fungi photo, so.
Tell us more about fungi. What? Because it's right down the. Why should I be bothered to? What's in it for me? What is it? What role does it have? What's its?
It's been around. Fungi's been around for millions of years,
right?
And it's the mycorrhizal network. They call it the Whalewood web, and all the mycelium connects, and certain trees connect to other trees via this network, and they can tell when a tree's been attacked, or they take nutrients out. And they sort of have like a symbiotic relationship with each other in order to survive. And it is mind blowing. I'm reading a book called Mail and Sheldrake, Entangled Life, and it's just it's one of them books you've got to reread the same page 3 or 4 times because it's the facts and knowledge are just absolutely mind blowing, and I wouldn't even be able to put it across. But I think it's the variety of fungi as well.
Right.
It's like it's not just like your average Joe mushrooms. Obviously, you've got your like slime molds and your brackets, and obviously you have got your stuff that grows and other stuff. You've got like cordyceps species that grow inside insects and make them change their minds to bury themselves in the ground and like sprout out the brain. It's like,
oh wow,
it's really cool
dark
stuff.
Turn, isn't it?
Yeah,
Podcast.
and it's just the colours.
Yeah.
There's some brilliant colours, shapes, and like I say, people do walk over them; they don't notice them.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you start noticing them and start noticing the colours, like parrot wax caps, wow, what
Great name.
Yeah, and they'd start off really green, and then they'd start changing, and they go like yellows and reds and blues, and they're just absolutely exquisite. I've only ever found them once at Salt Fleetby in Delathorpe, Dunes, and it was just like one of them, wow. And they're no bigger than like I think it was about 5 centimeters when I found it. So.
Can you remember the first time? How did you get caught up in that kind of tiny world? Really, that well, they're not all small, are they? But how did you get? What kind of captured you the first time you got into that fungi world?
For me, it was the fungi guy, Ali McKiernan, absolute cracking guy. He does a lot of work for the Wildlife Trust, and I came across one of his videos via the Instagram that we'd set up, and then he taught fungi in a really down to earth, humble, comedic way,
right?
Which you think I'm not learning anything, but he's so clever. And then you actually go, oh well, that's a belief, that's cracking belief because I know that because he made up a song about it. And it's just little things like that I love, and obviously it captured me, and then the kids love it because it's a bit silly and it's not. He doesn't take himself too seriously, which is kind of like what we try to do really. Because there's, like I say, there's a lot of serious people who like if you're wrong, they'll point out you're wrong and that's it.
Yeah.
But if you say that to a 4-year-old kid, if they say, "Oh, look at that," I don't know, duck, and then you go, "Well, that's not a duck; it's a mallard." Get it right. Then that connection's lost. You've lost that kid forever. We're not like that. Like I say, we're no experts, but we'll try and learn together. If we go out with someone and someone goes, "Oh, what's this?" and we're like, "Oh, well, it's a tawny owl." Yeah. Like, "Oh, there you go. There's my bins. Have a little look." And then, like say, you made that little nature connection, and people can go, "Oh, cool!" Like, and they'll remember that far better than someone who's just going, "Well, you're wrong. I know best. I'm a better birder. I've got the best binoculars." So it's a bit of, to lose that sort of snobbery as well.
Yeah.
Is
there much snobbery out there then when it comes to bird watching? And
you've seen this for yourself, haven't you?
I've seen it. I've witnessed it down in Wisby actually. We're doing a starling commemoration because I've always wanted to see one. I think way before the birders was actually a thing, and I took my kids. Me and the wife took the kids to Wisby, and they went to sit in the hide. And then they went in a hide, and kids are kids. And I think there was 4 and 6 at the time, maybe a bit younger, and they were just excited. And then just all the old men with the massive cameras and the big scopes and the top of the range bins was just tutting and hissing. And I had to walk out because I was just like, and I regretted it because obviously I should have said something at the time, just going, look, how are we going to teach kids about nature if you're not going to let them get enthusiastic about it?
Right. And
like I say, luckily for me, they've got a dad like me who's just like, let's get out of nature, let's find some bugs, let's lift up logs and stuff. But if it had been not a normal parent, but a parent who's just gone for the day, you could have lost them kids forever. And then go, right, well, all bird watchers are a bit nasty and they don't want to be involved now. Like, we're going to hide again, and we shouldn't be doing that. We should be like, look, yeah, okay, there's hide etiquette by all means, but teach them that.
So we talked earlier on about missions and things. What's coming across here then is that bearded birders really are about getting amongst nature. Really, you're not ticking nature off. Seen a waxwing, seen a green woodpecker. You're coming at this from the perspective of, look, let's get our hands in. Let's get turning logs over, looking underneath. Let's get looking for slow worms. You were talking before about snakes in the UK, which I think for most kids would be like, what snakes? There aren't snakes here.
Yeah. I've been looking to sea snake. We still haven't found adder locally yet. That's on a mission this year. I'd love to find adder.
So what so far in this journey, which I think we said started about 21, was it May 21?
May 2021 officially. That's when we.
So what memorable? What's the most? I mean, you'll have dozens and dozens, but what's the most memorable of experience? I mean, Alan was saying really earlier on, that he is learned really, and Gaz has got all the knowledge and so on. But Alan strikes me as someone who's quite keeps his powder dry really, and yet this is a really important thing about nature, is that observation. You don't have to go shouting about what something is through observation, being still, being quiet, which actually are really strengths when you look at Alan. He's even sat here, he's listening, he's observing, and so on. And that has a place, doesn't it, when you're out there looking at nature, just, watching, what happens next.
Sometimes I'll come across something and just find it, and then Gaz is like, they're excited about something. Oh, you found this? I'm like, all right, okay. And I'm learning off him telling me what it is that we've just found.
But that's that kind of ability, though, to kind of observe, not in a way, not decide too quickly what something is. I'm not talking about. I'll not decide what that robin is. It's clearly a robin, but when you're out, what is it doing? Let's be open-minded about that. Let's just follow it, or let's just observe or watch what it does. And that actually is really, there's power in that, isn't there? To be jumping to conclusions. We do this with people, don't we? Some people we've barely met. 3 seconds into the conversation, we've decided what they are, who they are. Yeah. And we do the same in nature, don't we? We talk about fungi. We just walk over it, kick it, and don't even think for a moment what its place is in that whole kind of biodiversity of life. So that's a couple of traits coming out already, really. Patience, observation. Not being, not jumping to conclusions over what something is. Obviously, we talked about knowledge and learning and education and sharing that information with people. But also, we're not. It doesn't seem to me, although you both want to learn more about nature, it doesn't seem to me that you are wanting to do it from a position of being in a school classroom. You are more likely to say, "Come on, let's get out into the yard, so go see what we can find."
Yeah,
is that?
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair point, because obviously you've got the internet, and you've got phones, and you've got classrooms, and they're all great things. But for us, it's immersing yourself in nature. Like, say, even when we go out and we spend all day out, we'll sit on a log and we'll eat a dinner and we'll listen to the birds, and it's quite nice to be elevated and just in a woodland and just listen, and it's just great, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes that's enough, isn't it? It doesn't have to be the great spot, the Scandinavian birds, coming across. Lovely to see them, but it doesn't have to be that. Sometimes
it's not.
It just has to
be. I think too many people chase the perfect photo or the perfect thing to find or the forever. I mean, we haven't even got a list, so to speak. We don't keep a checklist. We know what we've seen, but there's birders out there that will keep a yearly list, and they'll tick everything off, and they'll drive to Wales to see stuff, and they'll go up to Scotland to see stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, if someone wanted to give me a lift to see white-tailed eagle, I will take that lift. But,
and I'll go as well.
Yeah, road trip. But it's not about that for us. It's about just finding what's available. And like I say, if we find something great, awesome. If we don't, no day spent bird watching is a day wasted. Because it's one of the moments, like when you get back and you just think, oh, I've not seen out. But then like you start racking up the birds, like your wrens, your robins, your dunnarts, your blackbirds.
In your own garden type of thing?
Yeah, just in your own garden, or like seeing them fly just for a little woodland walk when you're not really birding. And you think, oh, I've not really seen anything today. But like I say, there are birds there, but a lot of people don't want them birds because it's the more common species. But sometimes there's beauty in the most common species, like black blue tits, beautiful little bird, absolute cracking little bird. Dunnarts, like even though they're like brown, like a little brown jobby they call them, it's just like the greys and the little different coloured hazels and browns in them. It's just absolutely gorgeous. If you take the time to observe them and properly look at them, they're just outstanding.
So you're back to this observation again. Is interesting, isn't it? You know, these key words keep popping back up, and I think this is. I think hopefully, you know, I'm highlighting these. So I want our listeners to kind of get into your minds really and think about what are you doing, where is it coming from, and where are you going? Because that's what we're interested in. But these are observations that, you know, we talked about jumping in a car and going to Scotland, where a brilliant road trip. But you're also saying you don't have to do that. This is in your own garden. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about that? What type of things can we see in our own gardens? I mean, you mentioned some of the common birds. I mean, indeed, we don't have to go to the extremes, but you're talking about just observe them. How beautiful. A starling is one of my favourites, for example.
I mean, when the sun hits a starling, right, absolutely gorgeous. And I've still not got a decent photo of one.
No.
Like,
yeah, I've got some decent ones there.
Yeah, but when you see them and like people get them at the right angle, and it's like
colours.
Yeah, kaleidoscope of colours.
Oil on water, isn't it? That type of thing. You know, absolutely. And they are not. They're really gregarious. They've got lots of mates. You know, you never really, or very rarely, kind of see one. You know, they've got lots of mates with them. You know, they're like, and I think they probably go out looking for things. But then it's like, right, I found somewhere. You know, let's go. And they arrive in my mum's garden. They arrive en masse. They're like,
and they make such a noise as well. But again, like it's listening to that sound as well. Like I've got one in my garden, and every so often it lands on my aerial, and it mimics a buzzard because they're great at mimicking. They do carollans and stuff like that. So every so often I hear a buzzard, and I've had buzzard over my house, but like I've run out. It's a star again. It's got me again. And it must love doing it.
Do you guys feed the birds?
Yeah, feed the birds. Yeah, try to. Always try and feed the birds because, like I say, it's that you don't have to go anywhere really to enjoy nature. As long as you've got a nice little. We say it all the time on our page. Your garden is the first little mini nature reserve you visit. And it's your space. You can do anything you want. You can put like a little wildlife pond in. You can build a bug hotel. You put bird nest boxes up. You can like put feeders out, and stuff will come. It might not happen overnight, but eventually something will drop, and you'll be like, wow. Because for years I had nothing. I didn't feed the birds. I sort of fell back in love with nature really after I met my wife and my brother-in-law was an Irish PB birder. So then I was like, I put a feeder out. And it was about 2 years. And then a goldfinch landed on it. And it was just, wow. It was just like one of the moments you think, goldfinch. And that's like a really common garden bird. Yeah. But for me, because I've not seen them in the garden for like years, and as soon as it landed, it was like, right, let's get some more feeders up. Let's try and like say now, blue tit, grey tit, robin, dunnart, wren, sparrowhawk. Not everyone's favourite, but still a cracking bird.
And those goldfinches, you know, if you regularly, you know, feed goldfinches, you will eventually get the youngsters, and you'll end up with a charm, you know, potentially there. But again, it's not about that. It's about you're saying just enjoy that moment. With it might be one solitary goldfinch, it could be a charm, it could be whatever, but just enjoy that moment as it happens. What's interesting as well is that this kind of leads me on to the team here want me to mention about your mini me's, and we're not talking about a 19 whatever inspired comedy film here with a mini me. You know, what can you explain to our listeners what the heck are these innovative mini me's about? How do they come about, and you know how do they help your journey really? What are they?
We've never been asked that before.
You see something on the Instagram.
Yeah, I think it was a gentleman called David M. Baird, and he made these. I think it was your wife that sent me them, actually.
Oh, it was the little teddy.
Like beacons. They're called beacons.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he, I think he lives in Canada, and he makes these little setups, and he gets like these birds to come and feed off these little characters out of acorns. I just thought it was whimsical. It was a bit fun. It was like, it caught my attention straight away, and I was like, I want to do something like that. Obviously, I don't want to copy him because that's plagiarism and he'll probably sue me. But I just thought we could do something like that. So then, obviously, at the time, I was suffering from my back when I was suffering from my back. So I had loads of time on my hands.
Time to make them.
I prolapsed my disc, and I spent a lot of time out in nature. So my sort of therapy on that part was doing something I could take back out when I did it. So we made little clay models of ourselves with little pots, so you could put seed in and feed the bird and take them wherever you went and set them up, or put them next to a fungi, get a nice photo, or put them in a hole in a tree. And it's just that little bit of fun to say, look, we're not too serious. We're not, like say, I say it time and time again, we're no experts. I'm always learning. Do you know what I mean? And I love that. But if a kid sees that little video of a little blue tit coming down to a little clay model of our daft faces, then it might inspire them. It might go, no, well, that's lovely. Does that mean? I mean, we haven't had anyone do it yet, but we'd love someone to like make their own and then tag us or show us theirs and get like a little gallery, that'd be a cool little thing.
Maybe we could do that. I mean, we'll put a link in the show notes, so we'll link to your Instagrams and Facebooks and things, so people can find out more about you. Because we are not gonna cover everything you guys are doing in 45 minutes or so. And I do recommend you go and find out more about the Bearded Birders online and so on. But perhaps, we can look at the mini me's, maybe even launch a bit of a competition, see if others can create something. We'll put a prize on or something like that. Maybe do a joint bit of competition work. See whether there's some more skill out there. And what I think Gaz is explaining is that it's almost like you're shrinking down something. So you did a wonderful thing for us where you took the new Haith Bird Food Centre and you created this kind of model. And your own, was it in your gardens?
I think that
went to Bradley
Woods.
That was in Bradley Woods, was it?
Bradley
amazing.
Woods,
Amazing, that's even better. And you created this Haith Bird Food Centre in Bradley Woods and then filmed it. And there was robins and all sorts of birds turning up on the scene, taking mealworms. There's, as you say, images of yourselves.
Yeah, we did. We wanted woodpecker, didn't we?
Really?
Great spotted woodpecker.
That would be amazing.
And we did have them nearby. We could hear them and we could see them. And it was like, any minute now, go land. And it's just, it was like, so we wanted to go back, didn't we? We wanted to go back, but I think we've been back to the Christmas one for you guys, didn't we?
Yes, you did.
We did the robin one.
You did, and that was incredible. And the thing is, though, it strikes me that if I was a child, and my wife would say that I am, but if I was a child, I would kind of the thing that you've shrunk this building or whatever it is down, and then there's a real life bird appears on this set. There's something then that you see that bird, I think, in a different way, and that's what I saw on that set you did for us. You kind of did for us for the Bird Food Centre. When that robin appeared, stage left, because it's so much bigger than the set in a way. It's the size out of context. Saw that robin in a really different way, which is, I can't quite describe what it was, but I saw it in a different way. And I suppose that's just because you look out into your garden, perhaps you're lucky enough to have a hedge and everything else. There's lots of things moving around. The birds aren't there for very long, and then they're gone. So observing them and so on. But on this video, looking at the robin appearing on this mini-me stage, it's quite flat, quite a good-looking character. When you look at its feathers and you look at what it must take. Its own animal husbandry, looking after itself, making sure it's eating the right things. That it's also, whilst it's consuming all these things, it's looking out predators. You know, it knows it's not at the top, and yet it's quite, as a bird, a robin, for example, we know, so territorial to start with. So it's looking out for predators, but it's also looking out, this is all mine. Everything you see here is mine. If you're a robin, it's mine, isn't it?
Yeah,
and you don't want to share it with anybody.
They're quite boisterous little characters to the garden or the woodland or wherever you see them. Yeah, but that's what we aim to do.
Yeah.
Like you've seen that video. You didn't know really what we was about at the time, but you appreciated a common species. And like say, we can do that and then lure people in almost,
Yes,
and get them into nature and go, well, what else can I see?
Yeah.
Like say, and then like say, it's not just birds. We've had green tiger beetle. I mean, that's a fantastic looking beetle. Had that at Linwood Warren. We've had stoat. We've had what else we had? Like just seeing deer. Like deer are quite common, but
what would you say are your favourite species? I mean, having said that, we're kind of appreciating nature all around us. You must have a few favourites.
go on.
Come on, Alan, spill the beans here.
Mine was the deer, because we recently kind of saved one in Willesby Woods, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
And it kind of got its antlers stuck in all this rope that was around this horse field, and I was on my own going to meet Gaz at the time, and I managed to ring him and say, "Oh, there's a problem here. Do you mind coming help me?" And he was on the other side of the woods, and he came galloping through.
I wouldn't say galloping.
It was really slow.
It was very muddy.
Let's get this. Gaz was galloping, right? Okay. Everyone's now.
Galloping
We've got Gaz galloping.
And my phone was ringing while I had hold of this deer with the rope, and I couldn't answer the phone because I had hold of it. And then I just see him peer from over this bush, and I shouted him over. And then he comes as well. He's like, "What we're going to do?" I was like, "We're going to kind of pull it in because it's quite strong."
They can wait.
I was going to say, it's got. So how old? You know, what kind of maturity?
It didn't look very old. I'd say deer terms, it's probably like a teenager, young buck.
So full of life.
But these things can weigh up to 20 kilograms.
Really?
And they've got 8-inch antlers. I mean, and
take your eye out.
Yeah, we did post on it, but it took so long to write the post because obviously we don't want anyone doing that. It's like it's not something we would have done because obviously we could have called rescue centres and stuff, but my car, Alan said, was the only other car in the car park, and we didn't know how long that deer had been there. And there's a thing in deer, I think it's called myopathy, something like that, and it's cardiac myopathy. Anyway, and it basically sends it into cardiac arrest if it's too stressed. So obviously it was either help it or leave it, or like say how long has it been there. So we took the decision to, like not lightly obviously, to rescue it. And the whole thing took about 30 seconds, and
it happens so quick, doesn't it?
we didn't get any footage of it being untangled because that's not what we're about. We just wanted to that animal rescued and get it off. And then and it was just one of the moments where I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I wouldn't have done it with anyone else. Like because I've been friends with him since
school.
Comprehensive school.
Really?
I wouldn't have trusted myself or anyone else, and I know I can talk to Al, and Al can talk to me, and it'll stay calm. I'll stay calm. Well, you've met him, you know. It's like look at him, he's chilled.
I can confirm Alan's very chill. But you know, these things make relationships stronger, don't they? That you know how you after that the two of you have got a stronger bond, haven't you?
Oh yeah, most definitely that because we I think we got a selfie afterwards, didn't we? Like, but the deer that actually jumped up, bolted, didn't even thank us, just ran off. And then our adrenaline was pumping. It was like, wow, I can't believe we've just done that. And it did feel good. Like I say, don't go rescuing deer if you can.
And yet, guys, what it does is, once again though, and again, I ask you what your mission statement type of thing is, which sounds a bit businessy, but you know, I'm just interested. Really, I'm a businessman. I'm an amateur naturalist as well, but I'm always interested in what's driving people. And I think what's coming across is how human you both are, and that, you know, you may not be able to say, oh, our mission is this, but what's come across again here is in our modern day culture, the first thing, I won't hold it up, I'm holding a calculator up, but let's say it's my phone. The first thing that we reach for is our phone, isn't it, really? Generally. Let's reach for the phone.
Because people want the likes on Instagram and stuff like that, and it's not about that for us, is it?
And the first thing you could have done was reach for the phone, taken a video of Alan. You wouldn't have thanked you for it, but you'd have probably got thousands of followers or thousands of views watching Alan struggle with this deer. But what you, and this is back to you being at the nature reserve with the long lenses in the hide, and you're kind of saying, look, that's not for us. You're not saying that that's wrong, but for you guys, you're saying, yeah, I can see the point of a phone. I can see where a video has life, but actually, first things first, observe. Nature first, and then if there's an opportunity, you get your camera out. But you kind of strike me that's why you didn't take.
Yeah, I mean,
a video.
like say we could have got 1 million likes on that video.
Yeah.
I'd film Alan and gone, look at us, we're heroes. But we're not. We just did a nice thing because, like I say, we didn't know how long that day had been there, and we just tried to do right by nature. And I mean, like I say, don't go try and save deer. If just ring the. It's only because, like I say, I've got a really good relationship with Alan that I was able to trust him enough, and we, like I say, I put faith in him to do that. I wouldn't have done it with the average Joe. I would have rang someone. But yeah,
I see. So Alan's favourite species is deer, and that was a more recent. And sorry, Gaz, what was yours?
Well, I thought yours was kingfisher. Your favourite?
Oh yeah, but I just had to bring that up as well.
It was smart because obviously we only observed these animals like they're quite shy, and like say if you're wearing deodorant or downwind, they'll get it and they'll bowl. I mean, no end of times we've had random photos of just white bums that have been as it went off, but to help that deer, hold it down, feel it breathing, smell it, hear it was like. It was a surreal moment, wasn't it? It was like almost like I said to Al jokingly, it was almost like seeing Jurassic Park when Dr. Grant's on the Triceratops and he's holding it and you could feel it breathing. And I was just trying to get this. I mean, like say it took 30 seconds just to get the rope off, but in that moment I was just like, I was holding this deer and just feeling it breathing and just like I was talking to it. I don't know why I talked to it.
Well, I was trying to hold it.
Yeah. But. Yeah, and it was just a beautiful moment. And then say when it went away, it was just like it's like fist pumps and high fives and like
Are these things that you obviously share that with your audience as well? But do you kind of is there where might listeners go to? Is there a place where they can go to listen to the birders talk about these experiences? Do you go and give talks anywhere?
No, not yet. But going back to. What's the aim? Now we are looking at trying to set it up as a community interest company.
All right, tell us about that. What does that involve?
Well, just it's very early days, but we had a meeting with Centre 4 on the Nunsthorpe estate in Grimsby, and we basically had to spill the guts and tell them what we do, why we do it, and obviously we've got a few aims. At the Birders. The main one was obviously to promote North East Links wildlife, men's mental health, well, any mental health, but obviously it started as men's when we started.
Yeah.
Getting kids back into nature, that hands-on nature, not just looking at a book or seeing stuff on a computer screen, getting them dirty, getting them like lifting worms up and tearing fear into fascination when they're scared of moths or spiders.
Yes.
And then just promoting like what can be seen in your own doorstep, really. And so we were looking in that sort of direction of trying to almost branch out, really, and going
and taking people on walks.
Yeah, we're going to do some walks with. We're all starting in Willesby Woods. We're looking at doing some walks in Willesby Woods. So then everything's sort of clicking into place in a minute, and it's all just putting it all together and making something more than a hobby. And just it was two guys just getting things off the chest in the woods when we started up. And
Yes.
like I say, we joked we'd get to 1,000 followers, and now we're past that. And then we joked that obviously I started listening to yours and Link to Wildlife Trust podcast, another wildlife and nature-based podcast. And then we joked that, would it be weird if we ever got a podcast? And then I think a month later we come from like sort of chat with you guys after winning the competition, and it was like, do you want to be on a podcast? And we was like what? It's just mind blowing that we're being noticed and it's gaining momentum, and it's all positive momentum, because obviously if we can get people out and enjoying nature on their own doorstep and realizing that, like I say, you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to know everything, you don't have to have the best camera, the best scope, the best binoculars, you don't even have to have a bird book. Just go out and just enjoy nature. Just like I say, there's little things from fungi to birds of prey, mammals, and anything in the middle, flowers, nettles. I mean, like, there's, as long as you take some joy in it, like say, we always say, like, if we went out bird watching and someone's got a £3,000 pair of binoculars and someone's got a £10 pair of binoculars from a car boot sale, you should all take joy in the fact that you're seeing something through the same at the same time. And it's that we like.
You talked, Gaza, earlier on. You mentioned about that you fell back in love with nature. So, was there a point then in your youth then where you were involved in the natural world, and you kind of become detached, as a young, as a teenager, a young man?
Yeah, I think I've always liked nature, because my uncle John took me bird watching it, and it was woods, and the first bird I saw was a robin, and it was like it captivated me. I was like, wow, you can see this stuff on your doorstep, because obviously living in a little town like Grimsby, there's not much there. Like you've got your Bradley Woods, Willsborough Woods, and Dixon's Woods, and that's about it. And then we had like all like these little pockets of farmers' fields, and then realised if you took the time to notice stuff, and like say observation again, you took that time, and there was no phones back then as well. There was no like social media, so you could just go out. It was all about playing tracky or going to the woods with your mates, and like then you'd see a flash of a day, but what was that there? Here. So I sort of fell out of it. But when obviously you're a teenager, you get into football and girls come along, and so
working,
exactly, working, exams, and it sort of falls by the wayside, and it's not cool to be into nature. And if we can change that and go, actually, like, because there's a lot of brilliant young naturalists out there, if we can keep that momentum going and say, look, actually, he's cool. Like, so what, you like fungi? Like, roll with it, enjoy if that's your passion, go with it. Don't let anyone put that fire out. So then. I fell out of it, and then I met my wife, whose brother used to work for the RSPB, and he got me my first pair of binoculars since being a kid. And then we used to go birding with each other, and it was a way of like building a relationship up with brother-in-law as well. So that's, and like I say, he used to work at Frampton Marsh, which is a great site, and like I say, we've been there a few times, and we've had hen harrier. We've seen hen harrier together, and it's amazing. It's like marsh harrier, and I think one of the first times he took me. He was like, because I've always wanted to see shorted out, so he was like, "Oh, we'll go to the museum. You'll see shorted out." And I saw 3 in one day.
Wow!
And it's just like I only wanted 1, and 3 was a right bonus. So
Would just to kind of zoom out of Lincolnshire for a moment, let's leave Lincolnshire metaphorically for a moment. What dream destination, where would you go? If you could go anywhere in the world, where would be number 1 on the bearded birders list? What would you like to?
For me, I think it'd be somewhere like South Africa, doing the safari. Do something like that and see all the bigger beasts, animals. Be good. Or just the colourful birds as well. So
tropical rainforest in the Amazon. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a dream destination where any naturalist, if you're a birder, insects, like mammals, anything, it's got its bells and whistles, and it's on another level. For me, I think it'll be South Africa, but it'll be Cape Town, because I've always wanted to swim with sharks. Great whites. You go back to the favourite animals. Well, you mentioned it earlier. Green woodpecker, UK. It's one of them birds. it's so elusive. It just keeps you coming back. And I say we've got, I think, 2 snippets of 30 seconds rubbish footage that we've been able to capture from our local wood, and it's just like, but it's there.
Yes.
And every time you hear it, it's like, ha 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 ha, you've not got me. So it's like, it keeps you wanting to go back, and that's what I love about nature. And then sharks, I watched Jaws as a kid.
Oh.
And it was, I think there's two people. There's two types of people who watch Jaws. There's people who fall in love with sharks and people who hate sharks. And I was one of the ones that was like, wow, this animal exists. So yeah, I love sharks. I've always loved them. And great white, I'd love to cage dive with sharks.
Isn't it amazing though how, I mean, I watched Jaws and frightened me half to death really as well. Jaws and Alien, I think, between those two, it finished me off just about as a kid. But the other thing is, I think we've become, the other half of it is perhaps when you're young and you watch that type of thing, it can only at that point frighten you. Although I made my kids watch Jaws and they were like, I can't believe you were frightened, and it just looks like a big rubber. But the point is, at my age, we've never seen anything like it. Now we have an appreciation for these for nature, and this, even as being the apex predator, has got a role to play. But even the apex predator is under threat from us, isn't it? And what we do, and our inhumanity to other things that live on the planet.
I can't remember the number, but we, not obviously UK, but as a whole, we kill millions of sharks a year, and like you're more likely to get killed by a cow. That's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we killing all these sharks?
Yeah, it's not great, is it? But I think back to, how do you wrap all this up then, really? And that's an interesting thing. I mean, I'm going to be interested to, if, without sounding like I don't want to sound like a school teacher, but I'd never make a very good school teacher. But I'm really interested in how the bearded bird has developed from here, because I think you've got what comes across to me, and I'm sure to our listeners, is a couple of humble chaps who are close friends. You've got each other's back, and you've learned something about the natural world that you want to share. So you're on a bit of a, it's an overused term, but I think in your case we'll use it anyway. You're on this journey really here, aren't you? Yeah. And I hope it kind of puts you in a position where you can spend even more time doing it really, and because we've already said, haven't we? If children are introduced to nature in those early formative years, there's a good chance they'll probably lose it for a little bit. They get busy with Xboxes and all sorts of things. But they may come back to it. Probably will come back to it. And if we can capture them then, when they're all ears, then that can only be good for them.
And I think that's the thing with nature. It's unless something drastic happens, like obviously with climate change and deforestation and stuff like that, and tearing down unnecessary habitats, plastic housing we call it, it's always going to be there. It's like a safe space to go. It's like if it's like 3 a.m. or 6 o'clock at night, if you need to get out and clear your head, I guarantee the best place you could ever go is on a nature walk. And just because your mind's so focused on seeing something, or well, even if you don't see anything, you're still out in nature and you're still taking it in, and like your sounds, and like your mind almost switches off from like Gaz the wake or Gaz the dad or Gaz the husband. It's just like, it's me, it's my time. I'm just getting myself immersed in it and just like let myself go and
just being again.
So the journey, like say, it's just beginning really. It's gaining momentum by doing stuff like this. It's putting the word out there, and like say, we could turn this into an actual company and do more stuff and help more people and learn from other people as well. If people want to go take us for a walk and take us to see like eagles or dolphins or orcas, I mean, bring it on. We'd do it, because we always want to learn. And like say, we're no experts. We're just enthusiastic birders and naturalists who take joy in seeing the littlest thing, from like an earwig to a slow worm to a roe deer to like a bat, and like say anything in between.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great story. It really is. What's the future then? We've talked a bit about the community projects and things. what do you think? I mean, what in your lowest points? How do you, when you look at nature, and you mentioned climate change and so on. What in your lowest points do you think about the way we treat nature as a country? Perhaps. I mean, let me give you an example. When you read things like the Living Planet report, we see that a huge amount of British, not just international, but British wildlife is on the back foot. We can look at some of the main reasons, in intensive farming, climate change, whatever we call it, that nature's struggling. So how does that make you both feel?
Yeah, pretty sad, obviously, because we've come from a generation, I say, that didn't have any real technology. We saw technology sort of progress as we were growing up. So a lot of our time was spent outside, growing up and getting dirty and whatnot. So there was times when there was moths and bugs and whatnot. And I think there's just been a report. I think bugs and insects are down 78% in the UK because they do this thing where they do license plates and see how many hit the windshield on a license plate. 78% were down this year from 2002 to 2024, and that's staggering. And obviously, them things, the small things, feed the big things, and it's just a constant chain. And we lose them chains, then we lose nature.
This is the thing, isn't it? It's back to when I talk about fungi, which is a bit of a loaded question. Why should we care? But you're absolutely right. If those insects, if those invertebrates aren't available to feed, say, the flying birds that arrive from, we mentioned, South Africa and so on, and further into North and East Africa and so on, where swallows, house martins, and the rest, which could have been flying through rhinoceroses, I can't even say it, and let's say giraffes, on the back of a giraffe, and then they've worked all their way through here, all the way over the mountains of France and so on, and they arrive here, and if there is a huge decline in insects in that food, and it's not available from a natural enrichment perspective at the same time that these birds will have their young, then there's going to be a problem, isn't there?
Yeah,
and that's what you're talking about.
And then
the decline,
the things will die out. And I think we're just passionate, we're just enthusiastic, and if we can help someone learn something, that's great, isn't it?
Are there any projects that we should know about? Is there a project that you both kind of, everything we've already mentioned, obviously we've got the mini-me's and everything else, but is there something you're both working on at the moment?
Just the walks at the minute.
Trying to sort out the walks in a local woodland where like the Bearded Bearders began at Woolsbury Woods. We're having talk with the friends of Woolsbury Woods to sort that all out. So that's happening behind the scenes.
And is there a way that listeners could, find out more about walks? Is it best if we just send them to your Facebook pages and things?
Yeah, I think that would probably be best, because obviously we've got to set up a web page now, a website. We're looking at doing that. So obviously all our events in the future. That sounds crazy saying that, but we'll be on there. So we're looking at setting that up, as well as setting up the community interest company. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. But hopefully, like I say, after doing stuff like this and people listening, it will gain momentum, and we can actually turn this into something like, I always say, I want it a bit like Andy's Man Club meets Flock Together, where we create a community and we go out and I think Flock Together, they started during lockdown, a similar sort of story, but that was inclusive for black birders who felt not at ease when going out birding, which is rubbish. Nature's not an inclusive club. It should be available for everybody. You should feel safe. Nature should be your safe space, like we've gone on that before. So and they turn that into two guys, and now they have 150 people going on these walks, and they all go out birding and nature walks and stuff, and it's brilliant. And I'd like to be like that. I'd like to be, but like just for everybody, just like kids, women, children. Maybe not dogs, because they just give everything away. I've got nothing against dogs, but
well-behaved dogs.
Yeah, well-behaved dogs. Yeah. And for everybody to come out and just say, look, and then like say if we can learn something from them and they can learn something from us, or even if we don't learn anything and we just go, look, that's a buzzard, how awesome. That's great for us, and we'd love to do that and turn it into the dream will be, like say, turn this into a job or something we could actually get paid for, and because like say it's you do something you love, you don't work a day in your life, and I love that because like say I'm passionate and I love it, and for me it doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, my feet are wet, my hands are cold, because if I see something cool, then that's it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, well, I think that comes across, guys. I think that our listeners will, I'm sure, will be very interested in knowing more about yourself. So we'll put links to the websites, Facebooks, and Instagrams, and so on in the show notes. We'll also put some of those mini-me videos on there, if that's all right.
Yeah,
we'll get some photos of you as well, so people can see, that you really are the bearded birders. And and if you let us know when all the merchandise is available as well.
My little boy keeps saying that because obviously he's like watching YouTube people and stuff, and they've done merch. He's like, "When are you getting merch, Dad? When are you getting merch? When can we buy some stuff?"
Well, look, let's leave this then with probably a message from both of you, if you can, really, a few words of wisdom or just a bit of encouragement or whatever. The floor's yours. What would you have to say to anybody listening who wants to, get out there and be a bit more inspired by nature?
Yeah, basically just take your eyes off your phone and get them into the woods, really. Get out there into the woods, see nature for yourself and not just through a phone. Talk to somebody while you're at it.
I think, same sort of message, really. Like, say, you haven't got to be an expert. Don't worry about knowing something or not knowing something and meeting someone that's better than you. There'll always be people better than you. There's 100 people better than me and Alan. But it shouldn't let you put you off. Like, if you've got a little digital camera or a massive Canon, like £3,000 camera, don't worry about it. Just take nature as it is. Enjoy it. That expensive binoculars and like scopes and books will come. You'll just save up and you'll get them. But for now, just get out, enjoy it. It's there. Use it.
Brilliant. Well, wise words from you both. Thank you very much. I'm Simon King. This is Naturespace with Haith. We've been talking to Alan and Gaz, aka the Bearded Birders, and check out their websites, or at least their Facebook page, and their forthcoming other websites soon. I'm sure at this rate they'll have a great website, so we'll look out for that as well, too, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.